Hi, Patreon members. This is Todd Wilson. We are recording our live conversation today with Michael Montoya, and it's going to be wonderful, insightful, talk about artistry and growing up in the Tucson community and dancing. The live feed's going to you all on Patreon as well as Instagram Live. It'll be saved only on the Patreon account to view later. And yeah, we're going to start here in about 1 minute. All right. Hi, everyone on Instagram Live. My name is Todd Wilson, and we are getting ready to have a conversation with the wonderful Michael Montoya today at 10 a.m. Pacific. We'll be starting here soon in about 1 minute, so go ahead and get logged in, have your questions ready. We'll be chatting about dance, we'll be chatting about being an artist now in this coronavirus age, and just checking in and seeing how everyone's doing and having a great chat today. Again, we'll be starting here in about 1 minute. Find a comfy spot, grab some coffee, and we'll get going. We'll be chatting for about 40 minutes, and then we'll take some questions towards the end if you need to come back and revisit us. It'll be a nice long chat about growing up here in the Tucson community and dancing and having so much fun. Again, we'll be starting here in about 1 minute. Does everyone like my owl mug? Woo. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll be starting soon. Hi, everybody. Welcome. All right, everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started. We are having a conversation today about dance, Tucson, being an artist in the coronavirus age, and all things about movement. So please stick with us. We're going to be chatting for a while today and also taking some questions from you. I'll be chatting with the incredible Michael Montoya, tattoo artist, choreographer, vocal artist, dad, such a great guy. He'll be jumping into our conversation here in a few moments. Stick with us. And yeah, welcome to our live chat today on Instagram Live. This is also being streamed on our Patreon account for our Patreon members. Welcome, everyone. Hello, Monique. Hello, Alicia. Hello, Nicholas. Mel. Hope you're all doing well today. We'll go ahead and get Michael connected into our chat, and we will get going here. Hi. Welcome. Start in just a few moments. Hello. Good. It's like a weird few seconds while you're trying to connect. Yeah, I don't know if I should say something or like. It's all so awkward. This live technology stuff. Hi, everybody. Well, welcome, Michael. Welcome to our live conversation today. Um, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna tell some stories. We're gonna connect with you all. We're gonna answer some questions. Before we get into the past, Michael, I just want to ask you, how are you doing? How's the family? I know times are crazy right now, so I just want to check in with you. You can, say hello to everyone. But how you doing today?
Doing well. My family started quarantining. Like we started isolating ourselves pretty, soon. As soon as all this information started dropping, so we've been shut in for a little bit now. But given the current circumstances, we've been doing really well. We've been making the best out of it, being productive, and trying to make the most out of our time. I'm stuck. Yeah, I'm stuck with my favorite people,
Yeah.
so it's you can ask for, it works out for me. I know there's a lot of other people that I know, even personally, that are going through really intense circumstances right now.
Mhm.
And with this whole Corona thing included, it just makes it just unbearable. So I always keep them in mind, and through that perspective, I'm doing well.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm thankful, one, for my health, that I'm, knock on wood, healthy right now, and
Yeah.
and my family so close. I'm not quarantining with my parents because we're not living in the same place, but we're sort of quarantining the fact that I go over there and
Yeah.
and I'm with them. But they're less than a mile away, and I have space. And I talk to friends in more condensed areas. Whether it be LA or especially New York. I have some friends that
Yeah.
live in tight buildings in New York City that they can see the ambulances and stuff from their windows, and it's crazy. So grateful for the space and grateful for people being so close by. it's
Yeah.
it's nuts. I mean, and with Breakout, it's all this new technology, and well, it's not that new. We've been having you know doing things on YouTube for a long time, but actually now using it thoroughly for our classes. I mean, that's been a huge, not only for the business, but for my mental sanity to have a project to work on, and to
Yeah.
keep myself doing something and being busy. And I wouldn't say I'm as busy as I was before, but I'm pretty darn close with,
It's
constantly.
weird how that works out, right?
Yeah. You
I
know.
feel that way too. I'm like, how do I feel almost as busy, if not more busy now than before?
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
your
I
mind
know.
just has to go into this other mode, and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's weird survival mode.
I do enjoy not being in the car as much. That's like the one thing I
Yeah.
really. I'm not a huge fan of driving. Okay, well we'll jump into it. I think before we get going, maybe we both can touch on how we came to dance and how we started. Obviously, we both agree that we started immediately because we both agree movement is innate in humans.
Yeah.
So dance is in our bodies, and we've been dancing for a long time. I started doing ballet when I was 5. And the reason I started doing ballet is because someone grabbed me out of the waiting room at Ballet Arts. My sister was taking class. I was just there hanging out. They offered me a scholarship. My parents were like, "Okay, childcare," and I just started. And I from there haven't looked back. I mean, definitely had some moments of pause throughout my journey, but that's where I started. And so the earliest memories of dance for me were very structured and black tights, white shirt, white ballet slippers. I mean, very tight in all ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Michael, what are your earliest memories of like kind of organized dance or even unorganized, more organic dance?
It's funny because even to this day, when I create something, that initial feeling I get, that connection to the music, the dynamics that I'm reacting to, that make me go, "Ooh, I need to move to this. I know what this looks like." I remember feeling that way listening to score music when I was 4 or 5 years old.
Absolutely.
I've always had this initial innate reaction to things that are I've always been attracted to things that are cinematic,
Yeah.
and I'm sure we'll go through our history of dance together and the pieces that we created together, and it will back all that up to a T. I've always been I love storytelling, cinematic. So I honestly feel that my journey in choreography started with listening to and watching E.T., Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones, and it was John Williams' score. John Williams, who scored all those, who did the score for Harry Potter, for Jurassic Park, everything incredible. Superman. I mean, this man is the sound of cinema. But before that, he had this background in doing jazz music. He's this old improv jazz artist. So, again, I know in my classes I've been talking a lot about groove. The thing that stands out with his scores above anybody else's is the groove factor. There's this groove, this rhythm to his music, and I really think that's responsible for really helping me understand that pocket. And then growing up, when my mom worked for the Tucson Convention Center here in Tucson, and Mexican culture, whatever, we had access to all the car shows, all the lowrider car shows in town. So I would go to all of those when I was a kid, and that's when I first saw poppers, all the the poppers and whatnot, dancing in the circle. And these weren't breakers, these weren't b-boys per se, because that was more, especially around this time. This is early 80s. This is before the movie Breaking came out. This is before, I believe, probably before the movie Beat Street and Breaking came out, and those really kind of crossed. That's a whole other Oprah. Anyways, so it wasn't necessarily breakers being, on the floor, power movements. These were poppers and lockers. These are the funk styles that came from the West Coast. The Zapp and Roger, all that stuff you see at lowrider shows, had a profound influence on me. And just because it was the atmosphere, the type of people it was, it spoke to me. You didn't see people that looked like me in a powerful position or in a position that seemed, positive. People that looked like me during that time, were robbers and bad guys on television, especially the people I was growing up with. Like my stepdad was a Mexican biker, and the people he rode with, fit the appropriate description. I was a kid that was being picked up and dropped off at school on Harley Davidsons, and everybody that depicted people that looked like me and people that were surrounded by me in the media weren't really good. But then you see these people in these circles dancing in this positive light, and you're just like, whoa, they're like superheroes, what they're able to do. And then you see the crowd and how they react to them. It's like, man, it's like Indiana Jones. It's like Luke Skywalker, only in this circle with, with even more groove. So that, so at a young age, I was popping and I was doing all that kind of stuff. And then, I think around 82, 83, I think it was 82 is when the famous Michael Jackson Motown 25 performance, when he first did the moonwalk, which up to that point wasn't called the moonwalk. It was referred to as a backslide. It's actually an old popping move. Right. And Michael Jackson, he learned it from what he said. He said he learned the moonwalk from the black ghetto kids, the beautiful black children in the street, ghetto kids. But there was actually very specific people he learned it from that were pioneers in popping. And there's certain set movements. Anyways, backslide is one of them. And when Michael Jackson did the backslide, aka the moonwalk on Motown 25, it was like a magic trick. It was like seeing a magic trick. Suddenly, all of my socks had holes in the bottom of them, and from doing the moonwalk and whatnot. And Anyways, fast forward a little bit. You're in like the mid to late 80s, 88, 89. And that's when social dance, some people say social dances or party dances. And by that, I mean all the way back to the boogaloo, the mashed potato, the twist, all the way up into, somewhere around the 80s, the mid 80s, those social dances started to get a little bit more sexy because Bobby Brown started getting involved in all these people. And then he started getting like the Running Man, the RoboCop and all that stuff, because the influence of the streets really started to become entwined with, the undergroove of the social culture.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyways, yeah. I'm looking at the thought because I'm trying to read these little quotes
I know.
here. Try not to get distracted. Don't get distracted. I'm a talker.
And we'll definitely leave some time to interact with questions to everyone. So we'll chat, and then we'll take some breaks and chat with you. And I'm keeping some mental notes on what's been asked so far.
Word. So when that happened, I mean, John Williams plus Poppin plus the social dances of that time. I mean, I was a shoo-in. I was the little running man, RoboCop in, Roger Rapidy, and somewhere around 6th or 7th grade, fifth and sixth grade, I was in my room in front of the mirror doing all these dances and all that stuff. And like, oh man, if they only knew what was in this room. But every time a dance happened, I was just like crickets in the little corner.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Totally.
And I think it was somewhere in the summer of 7th and 8th grade, hanging out with friends and hanging out with dancers who were better than me. I've always hung out with dancers who were better than me. And hanging out with these guys and them saying, putting me on the spot. And suddenly in 8th grade, when those dances started to come around, I was pushed into these circles. And in that point, it's like do or die. I mean, you're in 8th grade, all your peers are looking at you, including your teachers, and they're like, huh? And all these strobe lights are all around you, and you're just like, running man. You start doing your thing, whatever. Now, I just started becoming known as this little dancer dude, and it got me out of a lot of trouble. They're like, hey, that's that dancer guy. Oh, that's that dancer dude. That's that dancer. I'm like, yeah. And the DJs at the these dances started to take notice, and they came up to me and my friend Mark Jordan, who said, and they said, hey, you want to come to some other middle schools, some other junior highs, and to other dances, and kind of hype up the crowd, kind of work the crowd. And we're like, okay, you're telling us to like go to other schools, and yeah. So we did that, and we would make circles, and that was our job. And then he was like, I mean, for a middle school kid, this is the holy grail. He's like, I got some high school dances that we're gonna be doing. You want to do some high school dances?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, yeah, we're so scared. And then we started killing high school dances. And he's like, there's a concert. You guys want to do some concerts? Yes. You want to do this? Yes. And before you know it, I'm performing, and we're putting together these routines that consisted of these social dances. And then I'll try and shorten this as much as I can. I don't want to lose my time. But one year I was teaching at a summer camp in Mount Lemon called Champs Camp. I'm not leaning, and I get a little squirty. I was a camp counselor, and their arts and crafts teacher ditched the mountain last minute. And are you cut off? Did we lose Todd? Is everybody else here? Keep going.
I still see you. I don't know what's wrong with my image here.
All right. As long as everybody's there.
Yeah,
I'll
keep chatting.
Well, I was teaching at the summer camp, and this arts and crafts teacher actually got caught stealing something, and then her and her family booked out in the middle of the night. And this one day, there was like a 2.5-hour gap that needed to be filled where these kids had nothing to do. And they turned to me and they said, Michael, you dance, right? And I go, yeah. And they said, do you think you could teach? I'm like, I'm not a teacher. I just do my stuff on the streets. Not on the streets. I did my stuff in high school circles and that stuff. Fitness, young mentality. And so I said, sure, I'll give it a try. And I did. And one of those kids that was in that dance class, and it was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun. I still have footage of it somewhere. One of the kids that was in that dance class in that summer camp, her mother was a dance teacher at Tucson High School. And so that person went and told mom, check out these dance moves that I'm learning. And that mom was like, what? Had that kid come in to, teach here in, at Tucson High. And that was Doreen Harris, Miss Harris. I believe Todd had her as the teacher at one point in time.
Yes, I did.
And so I went in, taught for her, and she also taught at a middle school. And then I went and taught at that middle school. And at that middle school, I'm going this long about way to get to this very pivotal point in my life right here. So she taught at a middle school called Utterback Middle School. And there was another dance teacher at Utterback Middle School who saw me teaching Miss Harris's dance class. And this dance teacher's name is Miss Hunt. So Miss Hunt saw me teaching, and it's like,
But I've been on it.
I know who this is because she saw me doing a dance performance
This
long
is
ago
just
and all this
recording
stuff.
on
And so she had me teach a class for her.
YouTube.
And I actually ended up teaching for her for years and years and years. And somewhere within there too, and at Tucson High, around that same time, I got connected with Miss Hunt. I got connected. There's been some very pivotal people that really, now we're kind of getting into like the dance studio stuff, and there's very pivotal people that really were essential in that. One being Miss Hunt, two being Christina Lopez.
I switched it back. See, it goes pause every time I do that.
Within the dance community from the jump, she saw me and said, "You need to be teaching. You need to go to this studio. You need to come here." And everywhere she was working, she was trying to get me to work at as well too. Christina Lopez is incredible. I love you. And as well as, of course, Todd Wilson, the Wilson family, Josette at Tucson Dance Company. And and then I just started, I started teaching. So, and yeah.
Well,
how you doing over there, Todd?
Good. We're not sure what's going on with the video, but you can hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Well, I'll keep most of the questions coming at you, but I just wanted to say, in response to what you were talking about with the music, I can really relate to that because I received from my grandparents those like Lifetime cassettes when I was younger. They'd always send me, they'd get through like the magazine subscriptions, and
Oh, yeah.
I remember getting the classical music ones and remembering like why, as a little kid, like why am I wanting to cry right now, or why do I want to dance, or what? And it was such a emotional, visceral reaction to music that I couldn't describe or put words to, but I could definitely move my body or just really feel. And so I totally get that that connection to music. And so when exactly, Michael, did we first meet, and when did our paths first cross? I'm trying to remember back.
It would have to be. It would have to be when I was teaching for Miss Harris at Tucson High, right?
Okay.
For Doreen Harris.
Probably.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
Your sister was taken from Miss Harris, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you were taken from Miss Harris.
Yeah, we were all in the same class, and I think, was that the year we did that Set Me Free Michael Jackson piece and we took it to Sabino? And do you remember that? There was like,
I think that was years later.
Oh, was it?
Was after.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
After the fact, because that was after that was after the fact. This was I know, honestly, I think I was introduced I think I knew your sister first because you were still in middle school, I think, during that time.
Okay. Yes.
And I'm sure that my first, the first time I had ever seen you, I would imagine would have to be because you were one of these kids that was in junior high, but doing all the high school dance concerts, all the high school dance shows, because you knew everybody in all the high school dance shows because you already had made your rounds through all these studios, through the competition circuit, and you were kind of already this little seasoned performer at that time.
Yeah.
And so I met Jody first because she was probably in Miss Harris's class, and I'm sure I saw you performing. But I have a feeling it was probably Christina Lopez, that probably really made that like you should teach here type of thing. Because I believe she was teaching for you guys, right?
Yeah, she was teaching, probably she was teaching tap for us at that time. And of course, Jody and I had Christina at France Dance Academy when we were, 10, 11 years old.
She also got me a job working at France Dance Academy.
Nice.
Christina Lopez has shown me so much love.
That's awesome.
As has the Wilsons, as has you.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember when I first started. I'm not sure if it was through you I first started going to Sabino to perform, or was it through Tucson High? But that cross relationship between Tucson High because our shows at Tucson High at the time were really structured. We didn't have a ton of freedom to do what we wanted, but it seemed like when we were able to go to Sabino with Miss Hunt, it was like a free for all creative like jam fest that we could do whatever we wanted, and that's when we kind
Yes.
of really connected, and you started to build your epic cinematic moments we've had over the years there, and between costuming and music and theatrics and asking asking the school if we could scale down with ropes. Oh my God.
Man, well, so to set up the scene. So to set up the scene, I'm not. This is probably around. It is in the '90s for sure, right? Like late
Late
mid to late
90s.
90s.
Yeah, late 90s.
Late '90s ish. Okay. And so at that point in time, this is either right before Napster or just as Napster was happening. I think it was. Well, I think it was just before Napster happened because I was still mixing our dance mixes on cassette tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't start crossing over to doing it digitally until that whole little era of Napster and BNN, and that's a whole other over again. Anyways, again, here in Tucson, you have Tucson High, which is a magnet school, and you had a lot of great dancers that that were part of the program out there. And then you had Sabino High School, which was led by Miss Hunt, the woman who I said I met at the middle school, who became my Mrs. Miyagi in life. And she is very much the one who is all about, she instills that, she's not there to teach these dance lessons. She's there to teach life lessons. She just uses dance to do it. She's always about the life lesson. She's like, the stuff that's going to stick with you and that it'll make sense when you're a lot older, kind of thing. And the way she was with the kids and the way she was with people that worked with her, that's just the way she was. She had access to the dance department. She had access to the stage. Everybody trusted her. Everybody loved her. And she gave us kind of an open rein to do whatever we wanted creatively, and we pushed that to the limit. But that also included bringing in a lot of other schools, which included Tucson High, which was great for us because by this time, me and you, your sister, a lot of us were already dancing together so much.
Right.
So being able to bring in other schools was like, it's like, okay, you're naturally assembling the Justice League here,
Mm-hmm.
So, but there was this one dance I was just talking about a little bit. So getting back to this whole cinematic thing, there was this one dance that we put together. You like how I said we? There's one dance that we did together. You know, this Batman. It was a Batman dance. It was Batman dance, but it wasn't a Batman dance. It was the Batman dance. It was like an 11.5-minute long Batman phantasmic-like opus that had score music, that had this whole deal. So the beginning of this piece, there's this sound guy, Matthew McCormick.
Oh my God.
Wait, was it that name? Matt McCormick?
I think so.
Matt McCormick was a rock climber.
Shout out to Matt McCormick.
And he was like, if you really want to make an entrance, you know what you can do. So you can rappel from ropes, from the catwalks. Those of you who have been to any kind of auditorium theater, like a big auditorium, and you look up at those catwalks, way up there. Oh, yeah. It's like rappelling off a building. Yeah, totally. It's like rappelling off a building. I think you could probably get roof access to the top of the school. I mean, so he's like, you can rappel off of, it's very safe. It's very safe. He's talking about these cables. He's like, I remember the thing that really now thinking about it, I don't know. It may not have added up, but the thing that really made me feel like, hey, this is going to be safe. He said, Michael, you can hang a car off these ropes. Yeah. You can hang a car off that pillar there. You can hang a car off this thing. Right. We can have a car hanging, blah, blah. I'm like, well, if a car can hang, certainly our little skinny butts can rappel down. So I'm like, guess what, everybody? Guess what we're gonna do? Guess what our big opening's gonna be? And everyone's like, what? I'm like, we're gonna rappel from the catwalks on these ropes. And Todd was like,
Yeah.
And so,
Oh, didn't we
so
make
it was
someone
like the
try
night-
it? I think.
Well, yeah, I think who tried?
Jose.
I tried it. Jose tried it.
Yeah.
I know Jose tried it. I think I tried it. Didn't I try it?
Oh yeah, I didn't try it.
I tried it. Jose tried it, and this was like the night before. Oh my goodness, this is like the night before. The only reason why I'm telling this story is because none of the administrators work there anymore. So the night before, it was a dress rehearsal, and everybody left the auditorium. And they're like, "All right, give it a try," you know. So we're up in these catwalks. We have these freaking harnesses on us. We're like, as soon as we get down, we have this much time to unharness and get into our freaking dance moves for Batman and whatnot. And so we're up there. Todd is up there, and he's like, I don't feel all right with this. I don't feel all right with this. He's in his old Batman mask. We're in full outfits. I don't think. So we're like, come on. So we rappel down this thing, and just before Todd is gonna come down, I think like the principal comes in.
Yeah.
And he's like, or somebody comes in, and they're like, hey, hold up, I don't know about all this going on. You better.
Yeah.
And Todd's like, he's right, I tried to shoot it, I really want to get in trouble.
Thank God for that principal.
I know. And so the next day, which was, I think, the performance, that night was the performance. That next day, the principal had to come in and take a look at it to make the deciding factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Price, I think, Delano Price. He walks in, he's very this poised man. He's just looking, he just does a lot of humming. Just because he's like, yeah, no, you guys are not going to be doing this today. We're like, all right. So we had to stage something completely different. But these are the extremes we were going through, man. We were going to rappel from ropes from the catwalks. A couple of us did.
But we still had crash pads and that like flash fire stuff, and we still made it work.
Yeah, we had like pyro magic tricks and all this crazy nonsense. And these dances, sometimes, I'm not kidding, they would reach like the 11-minute mark.
Oh yeah, at least.
11 minutes.
Yeah, I
Now
think.
think about it.
I think.
If you're a dancer, think about that.
I think the MJ piece was like 20.
Yeah.
It was super long.
And during this time, we were, me, Todd, his sister Jody, there's a group of us who were making our rounds, doing all of these different assemblies, all of these different shows. Sometimes we would do three, four performances in a day, depending on, if there was an assembly going on. Because sometimes within the school year, they all kind of coincide around the same time. So it's almost like this little season, And at that point in time, our little crew and Alexis Ortega's crew, the Jams, Jamz, I think it's spelled out like the initials of their names, Jammz, something like that. It was, hip hop stuff. But they had a crew as well too, and we were the only two shows in town. Yeah. We were the ones who were doing all these performances. We were always the ones that were doing all that stuff. And I would say that we were almost like NSYNC and the Backstreet Boys or Coke and Pepsi. But the thing was, we weren't competitors at all. We were like peanut butter and chocolate.
And we did a lot of the same things together.
All the time. That was like a thing. We would call each other up saying, hey, we're going to be doing Amphi's assembly at 11 o'clock. We're like, oh, we're doing Tucson High's assembly at 9 o'clock. So you guys want to come do Tucson High's assembly with us, and then we'll go do Amphi's assembly with you? We're like, yeah, we'll talk to them. And a lot of these student council presidents and people, these administrators, they knew who we were because we would perform everywhere. So you'd have people, student councils, at the very last minute rearranging the structure of their assemblies and of their shows because they're like, oh, they're also going to come and perform? well, so and so is not going to do this anymore, and blah blah blah, and they would squeeze us in to perform, and we would perform everywhere.
And not to brag at all, but we bring the house down.
We bring that. I mean, with 11-minute performances with pyrotechnics in these costumes. The funny thing is, I remember Sabino. You know, they would always ask. Usually, there was an assembly the day after a dance concert.
Yeah.
So it always worked out because the dances were fresh, and we're coming straight off of the performance, which is what we're really aiming for. So there's really no pressure with the pep assembly. It's fun. It's just fun.
Right.
So we would hit that hard. So there would be times I was saying, "Will you do the assembly? Would you do this dance at the assembly?" We're like, "Yeah," like, but you have to turn it into like maybe a 5-minute piece, and we're like, "No.
We are artists.
No. We are going to do our 20-minute Michael Jackson spectacular in its entirety, sir." And we would.
Just take over. Oh my God, good memories. I was reminiscing with my parents the other night that, they were saying, we just kind of went with the flow, and, you'd ask us if you could not go to school the next day, and then we go to Walmart, and then we order you all food, and people would be sleeping on our couches. Some people were sick, and some people, we were driving you all around.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
I was just thinking about that. Yeah, I remember exactly what they were saying, that your parents are amazing, because you're right. There was a lot of times where
amazing or just bad parents? No, I'm just kidding.
Amazingly bad parents.
No, they were great. So supportive.
But they would. You're right. There was times where there would be performances, and there was a big thing, and have to miss school, and like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I think the schools also understood too, because the school at that point, especially with you,
yeah, my school at that point were just. Sorry. My school at that. No, I was just saying that's at that point in my life, at least, my school was done with me. I was already dual enrolled at U of A, and they were like, "You're never here, so whatever you want to do, just do." It's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, just like Todd, like I was saying, like Todd was, hitting the high school scene when he was in middle school. Mm-hmm. By the time he was hitting high school, he was already messing with the college circuit. He was already. So yeah.
Oh, was I ever? No, I'm just kidding.
That's another podcast.
That's another situation there.
BreakOut After Dark.
Oh my gosh. Well, we have some people tuned in. Anyone have any questions or anything? We'll keep chatting, but if you've got any questions that you want to ask, yes, Jez, we are cracking up here. I don't know why you can't see me, but you guys can hear me at least, so we'll keep chatting. Maybe they have like a limit on how long you could have two screens going. I don't know. That's very strange. So after this time period in our lives when we were, doing this and that, I became more and more serious with U of A and dancing there, and that sort of consumed my life. They brought me into the ensemble, and our little group sort of started to kind of dissipate as people were going on and going to college and doing different things and moving around and eventually having kids and, whatnot. And then at what point did you head out to LA?
I went to LA in my mid-ish 20s, early to mid-20s.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly when that was. But when I went to LA, I was in LA like a couple years before MySpace.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it was before social media, before all that stuff. And so it was when I was out there when I got wind of all that. Sorry, I'm getting all shaky here.
No, you're fine.
So
I think that's incredible because, with how we can document our lives with social media, whether it be, Instagram or Facebook, and that's how I do it nowadays. Like that's my photo album and my, my journal basically is social media. And I'm so thankful that when I moved to West Hollywood, they didn't have Facebook because there would have been some terrible stuff people would have posted of me.
let me tell you a quick story that I've told to death to a couple people. This is something that really helped me hit the ground running when I went to LA, that I would never be able to do now because of social media and because of all that stuff. So here in Tucson, I talked about our dance crew and Alexis's dance crew, and the only two kind of shows in town. So we were like these big fish in little ponds, and there's a group of us that would be able to get jobs teaching essentially wherever here, at one point in time. And so, going out to LA, that's the first thing that's going to get deflated, is that like you are not the big fish you think you are. I knew that going in, and it still rattles you. Yeah. But one thing I did that this is I have to brag about this as much as I can now because it's already obsolete. This will never be able to happen again. But this is my one ticket to hustle and fame. So I remember there was Millennium Dance Complex, right? Yep. Which was the big show in town at that point in time, the big dance studio. They had all the big dance teachers that did all the big tours, they did all the big music videos and all that kind of stuff. And so I started calling Millennium. I called and said, "Hey, how's it going? I heard that Michael Montoya is in town, and I heard that he might be doing a workshop there, and I wasn't sure if that was the case." And they're like, "Who? Like Michael Montoya? Michael, I don't think so. No, I don't think so." And then they went and asked again, no, not here. All right, cool. And then the next day, I called back again, changed up my voice a little, and was like, "Yeah, I heard, is it true that, blah, blah." They're like, "No, not happening, blah, blah, blah." Then I had my girlfriend at the time call. Then I had another person call. And then they started going. Then their responses started saying, "Yeah, we actually heard he was in town too, but no, he's not teaching here."
I remember this.
And so I started having people just call and saying, "Is Michael blah, 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 blah?" And so at that point in time, I think it must have been Jessica went and got the room for me and said, "Yeah, so I'm going to rent a room for blah, blah, blah. This is just a private session. It's not open to the public." And ahead of time, we made calls to people in LA saying, "Yo, you want to take a free dance class at Millennium? Just a free class. It's this new choreographer." And everybody's like, "All right." I called people that I knew and all this kind of stuff. "It's free class. It's free. Come check it out." So we rented this room and we just told the front desk, "This is private. It's a private class. Nobody's allowed in," and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And say, "All right, who's it for?" And they said, "It's for Michael Montoya." And they go, "Oh, well, hold up." And they start talking. They said, "Okay, so is this not open, or is this da-da-da?" Like, "Nope, not open. So people will come in, we'll let people, all this good stuff." They're like, "All right, cool." My God, were those windows. And we made sure we got a room that had a window. And my God, was there crowds around that, And at that point, I mean, as a performer, as an artist, as a dancer, I'm sure everybody out there, again, being back in junior high school, being pushed in the circle, and there's all these lights like, what do I do? What do I do? Running man, running man, running man. It's that same thing. It's right. That same thing. That's life. You're being pushed into this moment, and you gotta snap out of it and start doing the running man. And that's what happened. And Darren Henson, who was a choreographer for NSYNC, Britney Spears at that time, he did the Darren's Dance Grooves. Ain't no lie. Bye, bye, bye.
Yep.
That dude, he's like, "I'm doing a Darren's Dance Grooves tour, man." He's like, I got work for you. I was like, "All right," then started, doing all these different things and whatnot.
You were subbing for
work nowadays.
Well, you were subbing for Dave Scott too, weren't you? Or were you working with him at all?
I didn't work. No, I subbed for Dave Scott.
Okay,
but
cool.
I didn't work with Dave Scott.
Okay, that's so awesome. I remember.
But yeah, it was one of those. It's one of those things where nowadays, if I try to do that stuff, they go, Michael, who? Just hold on 1 second here.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, man, you don't even have 1,000 followers, fool.
Yeah, I know. That's how they book tours nowadays. It's like half of how you dance and how many Instagram followers you have. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Me and Jez have had a lot of talks about that kind of stuff. About how, it's a this is an old man back in the day kind of thing. But at one point in time, one's dance moves, especially when it comes to street dance stuff, social dance stuff, party dance stuff, you're influenced heavily by your community,
right?
What's around you, the dancers you see around you, your atmosphere, and then everybody had kind of like that one watering hole that everybody unanimously went to. And at one point in time, it was the VMAs or Total Request Live or all these different MTV, when they had music videos that featured dances, the Fatima Williams era, the Tina Landon era, so oh my God, I just totally lost my track of thought here. I don't mind part here.
The watering hole. The watering hole.
I got it. The watering hole. There's this one common watering hole. So, you kind of see like, that's incredible. And then everybody's kind of fed that, right? And then they go back to their communities. And then whatever they're being influenced by creates whatever it is they're creating, right?
Sure.
Well, now we live in this weird era where the watering hole is like the internet. It's YouTube.
Right.
Everybody's posting videos. Everybody's seen this. It used to be a point in time where we did, me and a group of people did Hip Hop International, like a long time ago, over like 15 years ago, maybe. Holy hell. Anyways, but why did I bring that up? I'm losing my train of thought. My gosh, all these things send into all these others, local watering holes, But there used to be a point in time where you'd look and you see the Filipino crew, which was a Filipino crew, a crew that flew in from the Philippines, a crew from Trinidad, a crew from Puerto Rico, a crew from like Japan. And the way they moved were wildly different. I mean, just even the people within the U.S., the USA competitions from New York, from Chicago, from this, the movements were so wildly different. You're like, man, that's what Chicago moves like. Man, that's what New York's groove looks like right now.
Right.
Now,
all blends together.
All these grooves are starting to, they're starting to blend together, and it's starting to, dance is starting to look, especially choreography. I'm talking specifically the kind of stuff that I do, more street choreography, that kind of stuff.
Do you think that social media and YouTube and all this has helped or hurt the creative process?
I don't know. I don't know if there's a general answer. I think that it's really, it's really specific to people. It's one of those things. If you're the kind of person that has most of the work done for you, I don't, it's a tough one.
I agree. I think it depends on your situation, Yeah,
it's definitely changed it. That's for sure. Like, for instance, you really had to earn these moves, the grooves that you developed, the way that you look. It was always unique to yourself.
Right.
And I feel like there's a lot of that that's a little lost right now. There's routines that I see now that it looks like synchronized swimming.
Sure.
It's just like, it's more precision dancing, right?
Like a drill team.
Where's the life? Yeah, where's the life? Where's the celebration?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the special people I'm looking at that's moving together? Where's that sense of community? You know what I mean?
Right.
It looks cool. It looks like these robots moving together. It's pretty astounding.
Right.
And when you scroll through, social media and you look at all these dance pages and all that, generally a lot of these movements, start to look kind of the same. But on the good side is you have an endless well of information for people who want to know the history of whatever dance you're studying, the history of any type of street dance, be it b-boying, be it tap, be it, popping, be it locking, and, what's not the Charleston, but the Charleston, what's what's the old dance? Charleston's in it.
Swing?
Lindy Hop.
Lindy Hop.
Lindy Hop. All these old street dances have all these unique and incredible histories, and there's all these pioneers that are still alive that are making videos with their perspectives. The person that taught Michael Jackson the backslide, you could hear his stories on that. There's so many different things now. So there is a give and a take, and it's all in the hands of the artist. What are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
Are you going to make something different?
Right. I mean, I think about just access to music. I mean, the fact that I can just open my phone on Apple Music and have access to millions of songs, where before we're buying physical pieces of material to play these songs, whether it was cassettes or whether it was CDs. And then if we wanted it eventually from the internet, we're spending hours downloading like 5 songs.
Yeah.
And now it's, now it's instantaneous. It's crazy.
Yeah. Now, I mean, at one point in time, I'm for dance mixes, I'm mixing on 2 cassette tapes.
Yeah.
Then it goes to I have a computer with all these microphones and these mixers, and I'm able to do all this stuff, and it's like, I feel like,
Right.
Frankenstein and Dr. Frankenstein, not the monster. And now when I'm mixing music or when I'm doing music, I have my headphones on, I have a program in my phone, and I'm going for a walk outside, and I'm just walking, and I'm just like listening to music, and I have the levels in my hand. I'm just kind of adjusting, I'm listening, and just, It's this weird thing. The fact that we're able to do this right now, the fact that we're able to teach classes online.
Crazy. Crazy. Well, we're right at that.
Any comments or anything? Any questions?
Anything you all want to? I know people have been in and out. I'm sure it's hard to stick with us over an hour, but anyone have anything to say or mention or comment? We are going to go ahead and probably wrap this up soon because we have a tap coming up with Jez at 11. It'll be starting on our YouTube live channel. I'll have to jump over and put my little production hat on for that. Michael,
street dance.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Michael, I was curious to ask if we can keep this conversation going. I think maybe talking about teaching, talking about choreography, talking about our processes, and just keep the chat going next week.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Cool. Sweet. Well, thank you everyone so much for tuning in and checking this out and chatting with us. We'll figure out the tech stuff next week. Although I kind of like just you being on this, not my face.
I was ready in video. I'm like, I'm just staring into a black and void.
But we'll get that figured out. Even if we have to adjust the platforms, we'll get it worked out. And Michael, thank you so much for joining me today. And it's so.
I'm teaching tonight.
Oh yes, please plug it.
Teaching tonight at 7 p.m. for BreakOut Studios on YouTube.
Yes.
It's going to be a fun little ditty. So if you guys want to move and groove, that'll be tonight, YouTube.
And I'll be on at 2 o'clock for Jazz Basics. We got a full day today. It's going to be so much fun. And thank you all. And thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you soon.
Bye.